Welcome to the Parenting in the Digital Age podcast. Many parents are concerned that their child might be falling behind. Others are just looking for ways to help their children thrive, not just in the classroom, but socially, and well into their future careers. Each episode, we explore the challenges facing parents in the modern world, from behavior, education, and nutrition to device and gaming addiction. We interview a range of leaders in the area of childhood development to help you successfully navigate parenting in the digital age. Here is your host, Jamie Buttigieg.
Okay, hello parents. On today's podcast, we are joined by Phil Stormer, who is the co-founder and CEO at Stormer Music, an Australian-based chain of music schools. And today we'll be discussing how music can help kids thrive. And I'm particularly interested to learn how Stormer Music is helping kids through music therapy. Now, if I'm being completely truthful, I had never heard of music therapy until I met Phil and his brother Joel. But as you'll learn today, music therapy can help children with a wide range of challenges, including physical impairments, communication challenges, cognitive impairments, grief and loss, and even pain management. But before we get into that, Phil, rather than me providing some pre-written bio and introduction, please share with our listeners in your own words what you do and what you are passionate about.
Sure. Well, hi everyone, my name's Phil. I exist to make the world a more musical place. So we do that by inspiring students of all ages, primarily young people, but all are welcome, to play music on their own terms. So essentially, we believe that everyone has a capacity and an opportunity to play music, and we want to make that possible for them. So we say students of all ages, stages, abilities, and walks of life. So we do that through music education, we do that through music therapy, music performance, and just generally helping make our communities and our cities more musical by getting more people to participate actively, whether that's actually playing or going to shows, supporting other musicians in their communities, songwriting, belting out karaoke, whatever they like. We think music is great, and we're here to share that love and passion with other people.
Fantastic. And when did you guys start Stormer Music? How long has this been a passion for you guys?
So in terms of starting music itself, I've been playing guitar since I was 5, and I come from a musical family, and my two brothers, who are also in the business, we all play music, and we've got musical parents, and so music has been something that has sustained and been a constant support and encouragement our entire life. And I've grown up in music schools, grown up in education where we've had lots of musical opportunities, performances through music at school, things like that. Then leading up to Stormer Music, we started teaching from home. It's one of those sort of out of the garage stories. And I teach guitar, and Joel, my brother, teaches drums. And so we just started teaching, and again, just from that place of wanting to share what what musicians have shared with us before. We're custodians of knowledge and insight and learning, and being able to pass that torch forward is, essentially what we're doing, and helping kids play instruments and all different stuff. And then got to the place where we decided to put on a friend, and momentum took, and here we are. We've got 8 studios now, and looking to grow and just take what is the beautiful gift of music to different areas and different communities.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I definitely picked up from you guys when I first met you guys, your genuine passion for what you do, and I think that's really what's helped you guys create such a successful organisation. So well done to you both. In a general sense, if I'm the average parent listening to this podcast, why do you think children should learn to play music?
So it's an interesting question, because from an artist's perspective, there's this idea of arts for art's sake. But in the current way we think about things, there's always got to be this sort of additional, did you know that music helps with maths? Did you know that music helps with, emotional regulation? And it does all of those things. But ultimately, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't like music and who doesn't see music as somewhat important. Obviously, there's a scale there and of priorities, but I think there's a sense in our community that music is important, that music holds quite a sacred place in many people's lives, even from, think of like people who listen to music to go to sleep, or in the morning to amp up, or in the car when they're driving to help focus or change the moods. And then if we go to a restaurant, it's very obvious when there's no music. If we go to a pub, we want to hear good music. Where almost all of us are medicating and applying and using music as a mood adjuster, as a communications tool. Like it's a very important, very pervasive, very important, powerful thing in our society. So if we're just talking about music as a concept, I believe it's important in and of itself. It just is. It's just so important. And but to take this a step further from a utility perspective for young people, you're going to give them a skill that's going to carry them through life. Whether they want to be a professional musician or not is not the point. It's something that they can have, that's special, that's their own, that they can go away and play in their bedrooms. They can make friends with it. They can get into subcultures. It's a beautiful form in the sense that it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes dedication. So it's complete antithesis to a lot of the culture now, where we're learning things that are, we're taking on things that are fast, quick dopamine hits, bam, bam, bam. This is the opposite. This is like, you try to play a note, it sounds awful, my hands hurt, I'm annoyed, I'm uncomfortable, don't like this guitar, I want to throw it in the bin. But it's teaching lessons. And so it's this idea that when you go through music, learning an instrument, you learn discipline, you learn patience, you learn communication, because you're going to work with other people, you're going to learn from a teacher. And for young people, it's just, you just see people come alive when they've got this. It's, it'd be similar to like if they're learning, coding or learning sport or learning dance, or they've got their thing. They've got the thing that they can do. It's like a little superpower for them. It's their own thing. And what a gift to give a child. And then we're talking about, they can write songs. They can express themselves in a healthy way through music aggressively. They can write songs about tragedy and trauma. And then there's just countless studies. You can go on all of the TED Talks now and see just how music is a workout for the brain. It's got the physicality, obviously, because you're technically playing. It's got the emotional thing because you're expressing something. It's got the maths and the reading and the literacy because you're going through language and old forms. It's been described as a whole workout for the brain. So I think it's important even without knowing that, but that's great even if you needed some reason to do it other than just to play the piano, for example.
Yeah, look, that was such an insightful answer, Phil. And you said something in there. It's this. It's the opposite to what we're all about today, and it's that instant gratification. We want to be able to do something, and we want to be able to learn it now. I want to go onto YouTube, and if I can't do it in 3 minutes, it's not worth learning. And that's a bit of a commonality I see in kids coming into our own learning centres to learn coding. And I think music is amazing for that. The fact that it takes so long to learn, that it builds that resilience. They experience frustration, that range of emotions, as well as all the other benefits. But that slow learning approach, I think has a bigger place in society than we think, and I think needs to be spoken about. So thank you for that response. Now, when I met you guys, you talked about music therapy, and I kind of thought, wow, what's music therapy? And, before we get into some of the benefits, for those listening who perhaps haven't heard of it or maybe have heard of it, maybe could you explain to our listeners what is music therapy to begin with?
Sure. So I'll read my sort of dictionary response, and I'll give a more descriptive. So music therapy is a research-based practice and profession where we use music to actively support people as they strive to improve their health, capacity, functioning, and well-being. Music therapy is different from music education and entertainment as it focuses on therapeutic outcomes rather than musical ones. So that's the dictionary definition. Music therapy, I would describe it as bottling what we all know is so powerful about music and then weaponizing that to help people who could really benefit from it. So, I mentioned before about how, we might use music in our day to lift our mood. Okay, so I'm feeling a bit flat, I'm feeling a bit demotivated, so what am I going to do? I might turn on some lo-fi chill music to carry me through. I'm feeling that, and then maybe I want to go something a bit hoppier, a bit more of an amp-up song. Maybe I want to smash something really hard and fast so I can run faster or go harder at the gym. These are like all using music in a utilitarian kind of way. Like you're literally taking the power of music and trying to use it. It's like playing music at a wedding, playing music at a funeral, music in a soundtrack to a film. So what music therapy does is uses music as treatment. So it actually says, you know what, this is not just a fluffy thing. This has impact. This has real, true and powerful effects on people. Now, all the things that I just said there are about mood and about mindset, and but what we're seeing as we do music therapy is we're seeing people, learn healthier behaviors, develop speech, regain memories, because a song might be a memory hook for someone with dementia, or a song will enable someone who has some emotional regulation challenges to bring themselves to a space of calm through a song trigger. Or you'll see people who will sing who don't ordinarily speak. And there's just all this stuff that's going on here. And it's like, I'm just going to let this magic thing out of the box and we're going to play and we're going to see what happens, because it's surprising and powerful. The reason you haven't heard of it is it has up till now, it has been around for a long time, but it has until quite recently been a bit woo-woo, a bit kind of, ooh, we're gonna dance it out, and but when you actually are participating in this with a serious therapist and with a serious professional who's done the training, understands the methods and some of the established work, you see outcomes for young people. And these outcomes, not just in the moment, but ongoing. You see kids come out of their shell. You see, as I said, the memories for people with dementia is a huge area for music therapy. Our practice is primarily with young people, focused on autism, global learning delays, oppositional defiance disorder, ADHD, and so a lot of development. And music therapy goes into areas of treatment that traditional therapies do not. So, for example, if you're going as a young person, you're going to do your occupational therapy treatment, maybe your physio, you're doing some speech. Music therapy fits within that in a very special way. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's social, it's a skill, so it's capacity building, and so it's very complementary to those more traditional therapies, but it's not just we're playing and singing. It's actually quite prescriptive in what we do, and the people who are doing it are registered music therapists, and those people are applying a large degree of training and science to the process.
And so you said something interesting in there, is that music therapy, or music therapists will often work with other therapists, and you see the combination of these sorts of therapy. Yeah. Just by way of context, a curious question. So if I want my child to experience some musical therapy for whatever reason, would I come to you specifically, or would I speak to my occupational therapist perhaps and say, hey, can we get Stormer music to come in and work with you guys? What does that look like for a parent who's maybe thinking about music therapy, working with other therapists, whether it's physical rehabilitation, speech therapy already, and think would like to take advantage of the combination? What does that look like in practice? Yeah,
so the answer will depend on if we're talking about a mainstream or a neurodivergent participant. So for a mainstream client, this tends to come through music education, an interest in music. The parent will say, "Oh, I've noticed whenever we turn music on, their mood changes, or they're always going up and playing dad's guitar." There's a natural engagement with music that parents will often want to then go, I'm going to invest in this. I want to see this natural curiosity nurtured, and that's really important. You don't necessarily have to have a natural curiosity to learn music, but it's incredible. We get these phone calls like, my kid loves the trumpet. He's 2. Why? Don't know. Just does. It's maybe seen it somewhere. He's got it on his heart, and that's beautiful. That's there's those little sparks. You want to try to catch them, and then that can lead him onto a beautiful creative journey. Now, in terms of neurodiversity and challenges, music therapy was recognised by the NDIS a few years ago, and so funding is now available for it, which is amazing. And provided that music therapy fits within the goals, what are called the NDIS life goals of the participant, then it can fit in under their funding and would make up a suite of treatments depending on what's going on for them. So it may not be the right time to do music therapy, for example, if you're really focused on some physical challenges. Or it might be just the right time to do it because you're wanting to work on some emotional behavioural challenges or some speech and language development challenges. So you will often get a referral through a paediatrician or through the OT, usually the primary care provider, and we work in an allied health sense in that we understand that there are certain things that are within our magisteria or our area, and then other allied health professionals will address other areas. So it tends to be through referral, word of mouth, and also just so often we just get people who call and say, look, they spend their life in clinics, they've got all this stuff going on, but they just love music. What can you do? What can we do? And that's where we go, let us help you. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's quite powerful. And in doing my pre-research for today's podcast, I was on a website and I was reading and watching a video about a young child named Jimmy. And it was powerful for me to not just read about it, but see the transformation almost immediately. And Jimmy was having a musical therapy session prior to going in for an MRI. And I might just read this little passage because I think maybe our listeners will find this interesting and powerful as well. But Jimmy's 11 now, but he was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumour at 4 months of age. He received care throughout his entire life, and any time Jimmy had to come to the hospital, his first request is to visit the music therapists. Music therapy has provided Jimmy an outlet of expression, normalisation of the hospital environment, and coping skills for procedures, tests and other various treatments. After breaking his femur, music therapy collaborated with the physical therapy department to provide Jimmy the motivation to get out of bed and begin gait training with his walker in rhythm to Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake. And he took his first steps in healing his leg that day in conjunction with musical therapy and physical therapy collaborating. And I was watching this video of a session before he went into this MRI, and you touched on this earlier, Phil, but you could see the state change. Like he went from this, anxious, nervous child, and within 1 minute and 40 seconds this song was going for, he was playing on some, percussion type instruments. He started to transform. You could see a confidence come out, a happiness come out, a positivity come out. And that was pretty special to see that. So I'm glad we've had the opportunity to talk about this. But you must see stuff like this all the time.
Yeah, and I think what it is in our culture, we've for the most part relegated music to the stage and to the exclusion of most of us, in the sense that I'm not musical. I'm not an artist. I'm not, I don't have I can't hold a beat. I can't hold a tune. I sound like a cat. These are kind of things that when we talk to families, like, for example, parents of kids, they'll say, I don't know where he got his talent from, not from me. And there's this idea in our community that music is for the privileged few. And it's not to say that's completely without merit. There are certainly people who have a natural propensity or talent towards music, more so than others. But that doesn't mean that those people who don't can't work on it and come from a different place and maybe, through that adversity, they actually end up becoming better musicians because it doesn't all come so easy for them. But it also sets up a different hierarchy. Like, so in your story there with Jimmy, you didn't go, well, I was watching the video and he started playing the drums and he was all happy and everything, but he kept playing out of time. Wasn't that annoying? We're not talking about that. We're talking about Jimmy's having a blast. I'm just loving watching this. I'm what a privilege to be part of that moment. And even just on a video. And yes, I mean, you see this stuff all the time, and it is a privilege, and it's powerful, and it's deeply human to just let people enjoy music. And that is it. You don't have to be good. You just enjoy it and have fun, and that opportunity should be afforded to those of us who can't quite get there themselves. So if you've got someone like Jimmy with challenges, a therapist is a facilitator for that. I want to make it easy for him in a way that comes from sensitivity and education around neurodiversity.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've answered in all that one of my next questions, but a question we like to ask all of our guests as we head towards wrapping up the podcast is, if you could go back and give your 5-year-old self one piece of advice, what would that advice be?
Yeah, it's very hard.
It's a tough question.
It is.
I still don't know if I have the answer to this down.
I don't know. What was your answer?
Well, as I said, it changes each week. Sometimes it's about study and diligence, and you should have put your head in the books a lot earlier and a lot harder. And sometimes it's just about love your kids more. Like when you have those kids in those moments, just be and hang out with your kids. Like I don't know. There isn't one piece of advice. It's a tough question, but I'm going to get you to commit. All
right. I think this would be assuming that my 5-year-old self would listen to this. But I'd say don't sweat the small stuff. Life's full of... life is so rich in its experience, and there is just so much to do, good, bad, ugly, and learning to focus and learning to curate your experience, and lean into experiences, relationships, things that matter, and exclude and push away things that don't is a skill that will serve you throughout your whole life. So I would just say to my 5-year-old self, hey, do more of that stuff and do more of that stuff. Forget that stuff. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. And hopefully that would set 5-year-old Phil in good stead.
I think Phil's done okay. Now, where can listeners find you online or in the real world? How can they connect with you and or Stormer Music?
Yeah, check out Stormer Music. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn if you want to reach me personally, but stormermusic.com.au or stormermusic.com. And that's our work. And if my clients and my students are flourishing and my staff are flourishing, then that's our greatest testament. So don't worry about me, but look at what we're doing and join us if you're interested. We can't do this alone. And we're interested in more and more people engaging in music and helping to really build a healthy relationship to music, healthy atmosphere around music in Australia, and give more young people the opportunity to play on their own terms. So, stormmusic.com.
Thank you, Phil. And look, mate, appreciate your time. It's good to see you again. And this has actually been a really interesting and insightful podcast. Not that I thought it wouldn't be, but I really enjoyed today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Cheers, Phil.
If you enjoyed the show, please connect with Jamie on LinkedIn or Instagram. You'll find links in the podcast description. Parenting in the Digital Age is sponsored by Skill Samurai, coding and STEM academy for kids. Skill Samurai offers after-school coding classes and holiday programs to help kids thrive academically and socially while preparing them for the careers of the future. Visit skillsamurai.com.au.